Hey folks, my name's Brian, and I'm here to talk about Reavers of Midgard. Now, me and my friends, we get together probably about twice a month, maybe 3 times a month, and we try to play as many different kind of board games as we can. And some of our favorite are definitely the worker placement Euro-style games. Champions is definitely up there on the list, and Champions is definitely more of a hybrid with the Euro-style and Ameritrash. So as much as we play this game, I would always mention to my buddy, Wayne, I love this game, I just wish there was something that was a little bit more Euro-style, a few more Euro mechanics. He ended up getting a copy of Raiders of the, Raiders of the Lost Sea, man, North Sea, man, I'm failing on that one. Great game, it's called Raiders, definitely more so on, it's a Viking theme, but more so on the Euro style. Fantastic game. So when I found out that Reavers was coming out, my first thought was, that's great, continue the Midgard series, it's an awesome entry. Champions is a beloved game. It has 2 great expansions, especially Valhalla that just rounds it out, and this game, yeah man, what needs to be said about it? It's great. So thinking that, but finding out that this was leaning more, that Reavers was more towards the Euro style of game, I honestly was a little bit concerned. We have Champions, we have Raiders, there's a lot of other great Viking Euro style games out there. Does this have a place on the shelf? So I'm going to get into that after going through some of the components and rules. I'll let you know what I thought of the game when we finally got down to playing it. Played it with 3 of my friends, so we did play it at the max player capacity, which is 4 players. I'll let you know what they all thought of the game, but let's take a look at the components. Okay, so I just want to go over a few of the components individually before I get and show the big board and on the entire setup. Mainly just want to go over the player board a little bit more, as well as the dice and the Reaver Cards, as the Reaver Cards are a very core mechanic of how the game functions. So starting with the player board, you're going to see that it's a cute little boat. That's how you house all your soldiers, or I should say a dice specifically. There's also a spot for your captain. This is where you would actually promote a Reaver card, but we'll talk about that in a moment. There's also 4 slots that are labeled with the artifact. Now, artifacts are items that you can acquire during the placement phase, and that basically give you ability bonuses that you can utilize. Other area to look at is that there are 4 slots on the bottom. Now these 4 spots represent 4 of the worker placement areas that are going to be used a lot, and I'll explain what we can actually do with those slots with the Reaver cards. Now before we get onto the Reaver cards, let's just take a look at the dice. Now the dice are very nice components. Everything is engraved very nicely. It doesn't feel cheap at all. They're nicely weighted. Even the ink, you know, I haven't had any of the ink smudge off on me. That's something that I did notice with the Champion dice, is that after, only a few sessions of play, the actual ink on the dice were starting to wear. Haven't noticed that on this one yet. Going to be keeping an eye on that. But anyways, so the dice are beautiful components, and I think there's like 66 of them in total or something. But anyways, let's take a look at the Reaver cards. Now, the Reaver cards, these, like I say, are a very main function of the game, very important, and you're going to be drawing them quite frequently. Now, as soon as you acquire a Reaver card, you're going to automatically score what's in the top left corner here, which this indicates a red die. Now, the red die side is blank, so what that means is that we actually need to roll a red die, and we leave it on what is rolled, and it's going to stay like that. So that happens every single time we get a Reaver card, is that you're always going to earn that as soon as it's drawn. Now, we have 3 different things that we can do with the Reaver cards, and I'm going to kind of explain it a little bit more in my other portion of the video where I show the entire board, where we can go. But I just want to kind of briefly go over the function of the Reaver cards again. So once we get a Reaver card, there's 3 things that we can do. The first one is promote the Reaver, which is what I was saying before, is where we actually put the card into the captain spot. That Reaver is now the captain of the ship, and it actually provides a couple of functions. The first immediate one is that based on the clan color, this one being red, we get that immediate bonus that's labeled on the side. So on the side here, as soon as we promote this Reaver, we get to draw either a keep card or a village card, and that's just going to provide us further bonuses. So that's an acute bonus that we get right away. The second bonus that we get when we have a promoted Reaver is we get to use the symbol of their clan. And luckily enough, I did roll the symbol of the red clan, which is this one here. And basically what that's going to let you do is and it kind of explains it up here as well, that's going to let you use that clan symbol as a wild card, basically, to be able to pay for things that you might not have the dice for. So knowing what your clan is and being able to utilize the clan symbol goes a long way. So that's the first action we can do with a Reaver card, is the promote to make them to a leader. Second thing we can do is we can discard them. We're basically just cashing them in for an immediate dice prize, which is shown up in the top right. Now this one shows that it's a red and a yellow dice, and they do have stars on them, which means that I can actually pick which side I want it to go on. So this other red dice, I'm going to put it as my clan symbol, and I get a yellow, which I get to choose, and I'm just going to put that as the treasure chest. Okay, and then this card would then go into a discard with the possibility of this being counted up for end game victory points at the end of the game. So that's the second option, is we can discard, so we can either promote a Reaver, we can discard them. The third option that we can now do is we can specialize the Reaver. Now specializing is a very important mechanic to the game, as I'm going to explain a little bit later, but basically anytime whether it's yourself or a player goes to any of these worker spots on the big board, which you'll see in a moment, you basically get to trigger an ability. So let's look at this Reaver card. So this Reaver card, and we're looking at the specialized area, which is on the bottom. This indicates that you get to draw 2 village cards and then discard 1. So I'm going to put that in a spot. Let's see, I'm just going to put it in the raid keep area. So we slide our Reaver in just like so. Now every time, whether it's yourself or another player, goes to the raid keep area on the main board, it's a worker placement spot, this ability is going to activate every time. So I believe you can have up to 3 Reavers in a single slot, so you can see how this is a bit of an engine building process. And once you get quite a few built up, you're going to be getting all sorts of bonuses as the game's going along. The game has a lot of engagement. So not only are you activating Reavers throughout every player's turn, but you're also going to be following other players on their turn as well. Similar to kind of like an Epic Galaxies idea, except there is no currency to follow. You're just paying the cost, or the regular cost of the spot. But we're going to get into that. Let's take a look at the big board now. So just want to keep this short. I really just want to go over some of the components and how some of the main mechanics work in this game. This definitely isn't going to be a comprehensive look at the rules. There are lots of great videos out there on that. This is just more of a way to look over the components and just explain some of the main concepts of the game. So right away, you're going to notice that there's a lot going on with the board. There's multiple spots to go to, but just keep in mind that there really only is about 4 or 5 spots that you're going to be going to. But the main thing that I want to talk about is basically the Reavers, as they are a core part of how this game works mechanically. So before we get to the Reavers, let's take a look at the player board. Now the player board, it's basically going to have spots to where you can host your troops, your die. That's basically you fill them up as you go, and as well as what's called the specialized area on the bottom, and then as well as where you can put a promoted Reaver. So let's do that. So when we go to the Reaver Selection here, this is one of the spots that we can actually take our little sailboat meeple, and we are going to assume that this is a 4-player game. Each player just gets 1 single meeple that they get to place on their turn throughout the round. So we're going to say that Orange took his meeple, placed it on the Reaver, recruit Reaver, I should say. Now right away when we look at the spot that has it, may be a little bit hard to see, but it does show the cost, which is none. It doesn't cost anything to go here and receive its benefits. However, you do get a reward. Being that Yellow is the first player to go there, they are going to get 2 favor tokens, which are kept over here. These are basically used to re-roll combat rolls. So they get that as a bonus. Now, the reason why that is because every other player in the game is able to follow that action. So once the yellow player has placed a meeple, it's going to be asking the other players if they want to draw Reavers as well, being a follow action, so it's basically for free since it doesn't cost anything to get Reavers. So you're going to fill the Reaver slots in pairs. And we're just going to say that going here, we drew this pair here. So we're going to get 2 cards. Let's take a look at them. We're going to look at the red card. Now for each Reaver, there's going to be 3 different things that we can do with them. Initially, we're going to get the bonus. That's up in the top left there. We are going to get those dice right away. So we select 2 red die, and we're actually going to roll them. And whatever they land on, that's what we're going to be recruiting and placing into the ship. All right, now the next thing that we can do is we can specialize this card. So when we specialize a card, we're going to be looking at the bottom ability, because these actually slide under the player board into one of the 4 slots. Now each of these slots represents 4 different spots within the board that you can go to. So every time, whether it's yourself or another player goes to one of those spots, this one being the Raid Village, you're going to be able to receive that benefit that is labeled on the card there. So this is a bit of the engine building process of the game, and I believe you can specialize up to 3 Reavers per slot. So very important ability. Now the next thing that you can do with a Reaver is you can discard them. So looking at the bonuses in the top right, that's going to be the bonus you receive if you choose to discard the Reaver. Now when you discard a Reaver, you're basically just placing them in a discard pile, and they can be counted up later in the game for possible victory points. But we're going to be discard this Reaver. We're going to receive the bonus, which is up in the top left there, and that's going to give us a red die of, since it has a star on the icon, of whatever side we would like. Perfect, so that gets discarded. Now, since we did draw 2 Reaver cards, the other options that you can do, so we can specialize or we can discard. The third option you can do with a Reaver is you can promote. So this is our other Reaver card, and what we're going to do is actually promote her. So first thing though is that we're going to get the bonuses we get every time we draw a Reaver card. It's 2 yellow with a blank face, meaning that we have to roll. So we got that. Let's put them here. And now that we're done with that, we're actually going to do our option and promote this Reaver, basically being the leader of the boat. Now why that's beneficial is for 2 reasons. We immediately get the bonus that's in the color tab. She is of the yellow clan, so we're going to get 2 favor tokens. Noise, 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 never bad. But what the other benefit is that now she represents the yellow clan tag. So any die that I have that has the yellow clan tag on it can basically be used as a wild side. And this is basically the currency that is used to score certain cards when battling out to sea. That's one of the actions that we can take. So as well as spending on artifacts, which basically gives us abilities. So that's 3 options things that you can do with the Reaver cards, and the Reaver cards really do play a fundamental mechanic within the game. So let's briefly just go over the other spots that you can go to. And as I was saying, this is a worker placement game, so you're going to be taking turns placing your meeples over the course of 6 rounds. If I haven't mentioned already, each round, this is kept on the round tracker, and even with 6 rounds not sounding like a lot, every player gets to go multiple times within each round. So with that being done, we have the Recruit Reaver spot. Now there also is the Trade with the Villager spot over here. This is how we're actually going to earn more die and collect end game point victory cards, or winning conditions I should say. These are basically going to give you bonus points for, say, every red Reaver clan you have in your discard, or sorry, every red Reaver clan card that you have at the end of the game. 1 point per art piece that you have at the end of the game, and that is set collecting done over on this side. But that's basically the trading with villager spot. Next spot over is the raiding villages. This is where you can get different cards. One of the types being an artifact, which you keep in one of the 4 slots on your player board. And artifacts are basically abilities that can be used at the cost of dice. Other areas on the village spot, or other cards that you can get, is basically getting food, as well as earning farm tokens. And farm tokens are basically just counted up at the end of the game for victory points. However, the interesting thing with this farm card, which I will get into the camera there, is you'll see on the left side you earn food, and if you want to, you can also receive the benefit that's on the right side, food, a farm token, but as well as a curse token. And just like in Champions of Midgard, the curse tokens do lose you points at the end of the game, and the point loss is exponential. So that's just a quick look over at the raid villages. One more thing I want to mention for this area is that you can also earn the ship upgrades. Now, ship upgrade cards are going to give you a token that is going to be a permanent passive boost. Well, I shouldn't say it's permanent because you can use it once per turn. And that's going to let you spend, say like for this one, which is a chest, that's going to let you spend a chest die using the token instead of an actual earned die. And again, that's just once per turn. Now the other area that our meeples can go to, so that's 3, we got recruit reavers, trade with villagers, raid them villagers, or we can go over to raiding keeps. Now raiding keeps is a little bit more about set collecting. You can collect armories, you can collect different tapestry colors, which again apply to set collecting, and you can also get into another form of combat. Now these cards here, if you choose to select this card, you're going to earn those 2 die and roll them, but you also have the option of the shield there, and the shield is always representing combat. Now what does that say? That says 3. So I would have to get 3 hits in order to earn the bonus rewards that's indicated by the arrow there, which is glory points as well as one of the blue towers. Again, similar to farms, it's collected at the and counted at the end of the game for victory points. Now, if I wanted to go for that shield and actually try and get the bonus points, I would have to get 3 hits. So how I would do that is I actually have to spend hammers. Let's just say I had these 2 hammers ready to go. If I spend a hammer, that's going to earn me an attack die. And the attack die... Oh crap, I actually don't have them out. Let's bust that out. There they are. So since I spent 2 hammers, I'm getting 2 attack die. Let's roll them. And I basically want to add up to 3 hits. Now since I'm only using 2, I'm probably not going to do it. I'm going to need to at least get a double. Here we go. And there we go, I made it. So on the die, that actually rolled out to being 4 hits. And that is going to earn the defeat of the keep, earning me the bonus victory points. Now the last area that we can, or the last 2 areas I should say that we can go to, is we can do the Subdue Territories. Now this is basically another way of spending resources or performing a combat to earn a bonus, as well as more victory points that are earned for every one territory you have that is counted between each round. Last area that I want to look at, this is the Battle at Sea. So this is probably going to be the most familiar spot for people that are familiar with Champions of Midgard. What you're doing is you're placing your meeple, spending a food cost, which is in the form of 4 food, and then you're taking your destination or revealing a destination card. Now this destination card is ideally what you would like to find as a player. All is quiet. There is no expense that I need to pay to continue on to my turn. But you could definitely come across something like this. What is that? That is the Draugr Ambush. So that is going to cost me, it says discard 1 artifact or ship upgrade. So if I want to continue my turn, I need to discard 1 artifact or ship upgrade, or I can pay the cost of the die in the top left corner there, which I believe is a shield, and that will help me bypass this destination card. Once the destination card is dealt with, I can now continue on to the Battle at Sea. I have a series of different cards here, which I can pay using the symbol on the die, or I can actually do the combat. So if I selected this card, I can basically complete it, receive its rewards, by paying the 3 die that are up in the top. It looks like a sailboat, a shield, and what's that one? Oh, that's the one of the clan symbols. Or I can attempt to do the combat, which is 3 hits. So I can spend hammers, roll the combat die, and hope to get 3 hits. And which either way I go, that's going to earn me the bottom rewards, which is a keep card drawn off the top, and as well as 11 glory points. So you can see a lot of the glory points are earned from the Battle at Sea, but there is multiple different ways to get, especially with cards such as the Armory, which you can see kind of shows you the cumulative point effects. And that's just one of the many examples of how to get different victory points within Reavers. Now going back to the player board for a moment, I just want to show the example that if you do have a Reaver, once a worker is placed, before any actions are taken or following is done, everybody needs to check their Reavers to see their specialization. So let's say they went to raid villages. Any player that has a specialized Reaver in the raid villages section will then activate their abilities before the other turns are taken. Once the Reavers are done, we now move on to the actual player who is going to raid the village, and then we go down the other players clockwise to see if they want to pay the cost and actually follow that turn as well. Anyways, like I was saying, this isn't a comprehensive look at the rules, just a quick rundown of the components and some of the basic mechanics. The components are very nice. The dice are great. Everything's engraved, everything is nice quality for the dice, just like Champions of Midgard, so good job on the dice production, that's sure. The cards themselves, I mean, they're made of a nice material. It doesn't feel cheap at all. There are a lot of cards. One thing me and my friends kept coming across is we were constantly thinking that we weren't shuffling them properly, just because there isn't a huge selection of different cards within each of the stations here. Yeah, quality is nice. There is a reverse board for 2 to 3 players. This is the board specifically for, there's a reverse board for 2 players. This side is specific for 3 to 4 players. So nice components. Like I say, lots going on, but once you break down the main mechanics of each spot and how the Reavers and follow function works, it plays out pretty smoothly as long as everybody's paying attention. But let's get back to my final thoughts on the game.
So I just want to mention a couple things that I forgot to say in my final thoughts. I think the real big appeal for this game, for me anyways, is definitely the Reaver mechanics, you know, knowing when and how to play them, or I should say how to play them, you know, whether if you want to, is it time to promote a new one, or am I going to specialize this Reaver, just cash them in for dice? And I think how that really ties into the, you know, how it's going to activate an ability, kind of the engine building component of the game. It leaves for a lot of engagement. So no matter, even when your buddy's taking a turn, you are going to be either following or activating a Reaver. So throughout the game, there is a lot of engagement. And I think that's, you know, even with this being a 2-hour game, I think that's still a real big pull. I know it makes me want to play the game again. You know, you definitely just can't take your turn, go out for a smoke, grab a bite to eat. You gotta stay paying attention. And I think that's good. I think it's a good mechanic that just keeps the game rolling, keeps things very busy for that entire 2 hours. But anyways, just wanted to mention that. Let's get back into my final thoughts.
All right, so now that we looked at some of the components and the basic rules of the game, I just want to kind of give my final 2 thoughts on, or my final 2 cents on Reavers. So me and my friends, we honestly had a good time. Like I was saying before, I was a little bit worried about even getting the game, thinking, my buddies, you know, they're such big fans of Champions. You know, are they even going to want to play this game more than once? And yeah, like I say, we all had a great time. I know I want to play it again. I want to improve my strategy. Like I say, we played it going in. I was basically teaching the game, but now that we all feel a lot more comfortable about the different worker spots to go to, the point salad, which points to go after, where to invest your turns into, I want to start developing some better strategy. So yeah, we all had a great time, and I was especially, like I say, I was concerned that my friends wouldn't like it. Everybody enjoyed it. Everybody wanted to play it again. It is a longer game. I mean, for our first game, it was about 2 hours, probably, no, 2.5 or so. So playing through it is a longer game. Mechanically, as I was saying before, it's not dense. There's just a lot. When you look at the board, there's a lot going on. And thankfully, the board does look really nice. The color palette is nicely chosen. The theme, you know, it all works. It's the point salad. It's finding where to invest your turns into. But that's what I like about the Reaver concept, is that I want to focus on this. I know buddy over here is going to that a lot. I can invest Reavers into getting my passive bonuses. It's, man, I feel like it works, and I feel like even though it does bring along the tropey kind of Euro mechanics, I find that it works. It was enjoyable. I want to play it again. I want to improve my strategy, and I'm glad that I did pick it up. The next game for the Midgard series is supposed to be more of a Ameritrash style, which is definitely what I'm interested in. I want to check it out. So even having Champions with Valhalla, I'm happy that we picked up Reavers, and I'm looking forward to play it again. So if I was going to give this a rating, and if you've watched my channel before, you know I rate out of hamsters. Man, I would honestly give... I would probably give Reavers... I would give it a 7 out of 10 hamsters. It's a good game. Classic kind of Euro mechanics. I like the theme. I do think there are better Viking-themed Euro games out there. But as I was saying, I am excited to play it again. I want to improve my strategy. I want to play it again knowing that it is about a 2-hour session. Good game. Check it out. Thanks for watching, guys. If you liked the video, like, comment, you know, the usual stupid YouTube stuff. Let me know what you thought of the video. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Take care.